might have been sleeping or hydrated or something. I didn't think that I love so much, more than my life itself, and have gone on such a 24-year journey with this person in my life. And now it's just gone because he wanted it to be. So the shock of it was like I said, the weeks that I would just lay in bed or on the couch and not do anything. If he would have seen my first floor of my house filled with flowers, where you couldn't even really move or put anything down, and all the meals that came in, if he would have seen that, he would have known how much he was loved. And I just, I wish that sometimes you just reach out and just love somebody because they don't know how much they're loved. Gavin recorded a lot of music, and so we started a nonprofit called the Gavin Effect.
Welcome to the Sleeping Lotus podcast, the sacred space where we explore the human spirit's true potential and awaken to our soul remembrance one petal at a time. Whether you're wide awake, half asleep, or somewhere in between, this is a circle where nothing is too mystical, too messy, or too much. Each week, we'll gather around the stories that shaped us, the breakdowns and the breakthroughs that opened us up to divine moments that helped us remember who we really are. We'll be joined by guests who've lived through the darkness and found the sacred woven within it. This isn't just a podcast. It's a remembering, a return, a place to rest and awaken. So pour some tea, light a candle, or just breathe with us. Let the lotus within you open in its own time, in its own way. So thank you for tuning in, and let's begin. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Sleeping Lotus podcast. I'm Laura Jean.
And I'm Stephanie.
And we are back to have a beautiful conversation with a guest that we've had on prior. This is Andrea, and she is the host of The Deep End at its Finest. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Hi.
So last time we spoke to you, we talked about a very interesting topic. Steph, do you want to share what that topic was?
Near-death experiences. Yes.
And this was really important to your journey. So I kind of want to start the episode today with picking up to saying that this sort of sets you up for an experience that you're going to share with us today.
Yes, I became very interested in near-death experiences, as you'll hear in the prior episode. And it was before the death of my oldest child, who was a son. So just having the comfort of just knowing, where we go after this life was incredible. I felt like I was kind of a step ahead when that did happen. Not that it by any means took the pain away from it. It did not. I mean, I laid on my couch or in bed for months without getting up. And I'm so thankful for everybody who kind of supported me and mentally and physically and everything to help me through that, because that was a toughie. It's probably the toughest thing that it is the toughest thing that I've ever gone through in my life. And I've been through it, I'll tell you that.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So where would you like to start? Would you like to start telling us a bit about your son?
Yeah, sure. I was an adult, but fairly young parent when I gave birth to my oldest son, Gavin. And, he was everything you could have ever wanted. He was adorable. He was so pretty that people thought he was a girl sometimes. And I'm like, he's dressed in blue. So, we took him everywhere. We went camping with him, and he had so many great experiences. My parents, we had go-karts and dirt bikes and four-wheelers and stuff like that. So we got that hands-on, experience that, I did too. It just kind of makes you, in my opinion, become a better driver. So he wasn't, afraid of things like that. And he grew up to be, charismatic and funny and handsome. I mean, my gosh, it was just like, everything that you would look at a person and be like, wow, they're a great person and they have it together. He did have a little edge to him sometimes, as we all do, that me and his brothers talk about to this day, like, certain things that would, rub us the wrong way. Be like, oh, I always do this. Like for instance, he would eat cough drops a lot. Like he'd always have a cough drop in his hand. I'm sorry, in his mouth, and you would find them everywhere, like in his sheets, on his blanket, like in my car. I'm like, it's like a little token from him. And as we get to talk about him, you'll probably understand why he had the cough drops, because he had a couple things going on. But yeah, so I mean, at some point, Gavin, when he was younger, he had ear infections. And that was like troublesome because I mean he couldn't hear as well. He had this thing like you would say his name or whatever, and it was almost like selective hearing. I'm like, did you hear me? Did you not? It's not like he had hearing problems. It was just I think there was so much fluid in there that he couldn't hear, especially my tone of voice is considered like my family makes fun of me. They're like, I can't hear what you're saying. Like, my voice stops here. Because, if they're any farther away from that, they got to get closer because the tone of my voice is so low. Um, and the ear infections he was on medicine for like 6 months with that stuff. And even through adulthood, he had like drainage come out and he had trouble with them for sure. But not as many as infections, which thank goodness he grew out of that. He had tubes twice, possibly three times actually. And then as he got older, like 12 to 15 range, he was bit by a tick. We don't quite know when it was because we really didn't address it until 15. We tested him for Lyme and everything, all immune. And then finally he's like, I can't do this anymore. Like we got to do something. So I found a fabulous doctor, Dr. Martin Mulder. And he was a self-pay doctor, but he got him back on track, and he diagnosed him with there's two tick-borne illnesses. One's called Bartonella, and one's called Babesia. Um, and when he diagnosed him with those tick-borne illnesses, it was like a game changer because he put him on medicine, he put him on all these other things. A lot of it was natural too. And he started to turn around. But still, he had pain in his joints. He couldn't eat red meat. I'm sure there's some listeners out there that have gone through this with even just Lyme disease. Your life changes.
Mhm.
And even weakness too, like to pick up a thing of water, was a lot. Like, a lot of times he would go grocery shopping and we would just grab his groceries and bring them in for him, as he got older. Um, and then, there's gotta be like a combination of those two things. Um, there's gotta be something that, is just not motivating, and, he couldn't have gone as far as he would have wanted to, I think, with the combination of those things, just from the tiredness. He was homeschooled the last year of his high school,
Mm.
because he was so tired, on a strict diet, gluten-free, dairy-free, everything free. Like he could eat, broccoli, pistachios, and, like four things. So, what a game changer, a life changer, but he still had such a personality. Good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, he was, he didn't like shy away. He wasn't, I'll say he had more anxiety than anything. It was probably brought on, some of it from these two things. But then, he turned 24, and that's all he made it to was 24 years old. Um, so he chose to leave this world, and that was quite a surprise because, it's not like he was, on drugs or anything, or, he didn't have that substance struggle. Um, it was like, what was it, And as time is going on, I've said this so many times, I was a young parent. Gavin taught me, and all my kids taught me a lot while they were living. I have never learned so much in such a short period of time. It hasn't even been a year yet, the anniversary. In his death, I have not learned anything in my whole entire life as much as I learned in the last 8 months, 9 months.
Was Gavin your first child?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, he was. Yeah, he was my first child, and that changes your mindset in itself, becoming a parent. And just having this instant like protective, you know, barrier around this child, whether they're sick or in danger, or if something happened weird at daycare and you're like, what really happened, um, and yeah, it was a very interesting journey. Yeah, I've known him longer with him in my life than I have without him. And it just really stinks losing a child, that you have to live without that child for so long. I'm in my 40s, and if I make it to my 80s, like, it's a long time to mourn and miss somebody and like be in this mindset now. Um, I'm like joke a little bit. I'm like, if you had to do it that way, like, couldn't you have waited until I was 80, like the year before I die, and then I would only have to live without you for on this earth without you for, a year. But um, you know, as we navigate down that path too, there's so many other things that it could be, and I'm only bringing this up, for listeners who have lost a child or have lost a child by that child choosing to leave. Um,
Yeah, I'm
and
sure like you said, it's kind of fresh. I'm sure someone would want to go through the process of like trying to break down every single step of how this could be, like how it could come to be, because like you said, you didn't really see something that would maybe have hinted it directly to you,
yeah, it wasn't
if I
anything
understand.
that I couldn't have handled, but it doesn't mean it's not something that he couldn't have handled. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just seemed
Yeah.
like everyday life that we kind of go through, and it seemed like normal trials and tribulations, I'll say, to an extent. Um, Other than the fact, I we're a divorced family. So there's, things that happened on that side that were different than what happened on our side, my side, as his mother. Um, and I delicately would like to bring up a narcissistic parent combined with parent alienation. Um, it's a tough journey as a parent to parent a child or children when the other parent is narcissistic, for one. And there's different types of narcissism. I think there's like 4 or 5. But when you get the most lethal and most nasty version of that, and combined it with parent alienation by proxy, it is not fun bringing up children whatsoever. And it's just, um, tearing down another parent who happens to be a good parent, um, and trying to get them to fear that parent or disrespect that parent or what have you, just be, this ignorant person to that parent for no reason. There's two things going on. The non-alienated parent is going to love that child no matter what, right? And I think the child knows that. But the detrimental piece of it is that child at some point is going to feel really bad about what they did. Even though the narcissistic parent is trying to win, and get the children to like that person better or whatever is in their head. It's definitely a mental thing. It is detrimental. So I bring it up because if you are narcissistic out there, listeners, or if you're even the smallest little parent alienation, like just don't do it. Stop doing it. It is horrendous to that child. And it's not fair either. You know, we have children to bring them up and to love them and adore them and try and hopefully make that child or children better than what we are, smarter, you know, better opportunities. I'm not saying spoil them, but I am saying, you know, you want them to rightfully, you know, have opportunities that um, are possible for them. Not, you know, keep them under you and under your control and all of that. So, any thoughts on that, ladies? I
Yeah,
know it got deep
it's
fast.
no, you're fine. Um, from a psychological standpoint in the field of psychology, it's challenging because if it's a true narcissistic personality disorder, oftentimes they don't even know that they're doing this harm. And it's something that, gets perpetuated over and over, oftentimes in families with that type of abuse. Um,
That's
but
right.
the
Yeah.
challenging part of it, I can personally say that for me, my experience was like I was fighting so hard to live in this world with my own health struggles as a kid. So I can kind of relate a little bit to your son's story of being home taught and having the inflammation and
Yeah.
possibly feeling different from other kids and things like that. This all gets piled on, and then you have a parent that's not seeing you and not hearing you, and you just want to feel that love.
Yeah.
And then you have this other parent that is giving you so much love, but it doesn't take, like, it doesn't fulfill what you need from that other parent.
No, you're right.
I think if people really understood how children form their identities and how important parenting is, like, we'd probably change the school system. We'd change our culture and everything because we would want that well-being of that child to be so good that as they become an adult, they go off into the world and they're healthy in mindset and even in physical form as well, because they all cycle.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So
Yeah. And
I
children are our future. I mean, in the end,
absolutely,
that's
yeah.
who's going to be running this country or, you know, this world or whatever it is. And it's like, why would you want to do that? And do you realize how much harm is coming into play? So I I bring that up. I mean, this could be a whole nother episode because I mean, between your experience
I'll bring the
and
expert
my
on for that
experience,
one.
yes.
I
Yeah,
can, I
no.
can give
Yeah.
a little bit of insight because I've dove into it to learn some things about myself. But um, I think the picture that we're kind of getting here, I believe, for the listeners is that your son had a lot of things going on. And
Yeah, too many.
oftentimes it it really is invisible to the outside world to a huge amount of extent that people think, they're tuned in or that the child can just speak up when they need to. And boy, was my voice just like completely cut off. Talk about having a low voice. Like, I
Mhm.
have a low voice
Yeah.
myself and I have to
Yeah.
work on projecting it.
Mhm.
And I'm just starting at 39 years old to learn how to do that.
Yeah. And even so, like, whether you did or you didn't, like sometimes kids do, and it comes in a form of like bizarro, you know? It's
Yeah.
like I know that there's some things that babysitters or daycares, like the teachers there have said, about my children to me. They're like, does this kind of sound a little bit odd? And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like that's something that the other parent would say, or,
Mm.
I mean, and what do you do with that information? I mean, I documented so much and tried my best to for my children. And like I have to say, you have to have a good like judicial system, court system in order to make progress with stuff like that. And it's a delicate situation because I'm sure, like anything, there's people who make it up, and then there's actually like really bad situations. So you want to address and protect the children who are actually, going through the narcissistic and the parent alienation um, life versus like, a parent's like, oh, let me get the other parent, I'm going to accuse them of it. It's like a whole thing. So yeah, like anything, you have to be careful. But I think that our court system could do a much better job because there's so much that has happened within our lives with my children and people coming in and tests being done and psychological stuff, and then there was so much evidence like right on the table. I'm like, there you go, guys, like and nothing ever happened. So um it's sad.
Did did
It's so sad. It's more than sad. It's awful.
so this person has really no idea the amount of damage that was done, or does he?
Well, there's two things. There's narcissistic behavior, right? Where somebody thinks that they're better than they really are. And again, there's like four or five different things. And then there's parent alienation where it's like intentional, like, I'm going to get that parent. So does he actually know? I think between himself and himself, he
Mm-hmm.
does.
Mm.
But I think that this other person that he is acts as if like, no, that wasn't because of me. I was trying to
Yeah,
protect my
it's
children. It's this whole.
yeah. Well,
So deep down, yes.
yeah, they tend not to know the harm that they're doing, often to the extent that they're doing. It's let's say this. It's a spectrum that you can be slightly NPD or you can be like really full blown NPD. And then there's psychopathic. Psychopathic tends to have a clear goal on what they want to get from people, and they can be, brutal. Whereas the NPD, like I said, it's often not really like it's a blind spot to them. And for them, people tend to think they have really good esteem because they can talk themselves up or be really charming and things like that. But it's quite the opposite. Their psychological drive is to get self-esteem because they don't have it. They don't really
They don't feel
um,
worthy of it.
they don't
Right.
have it. They weren't able to build it as an infant. It's a process that infants go through. But again, I'll bring the expert on that because it can swirl your head. But again, we'll kind of sum this back up to like, I don't ever think that when someone chooses to leave this world purposely, that it's like one wholehearted thing, because we know that any type of depression is just a symptom, it's not the root cause. So, um, yeah, I want to reinforce that it's often multiple things, and then it's up to the person that's grieving whether they're going to dive into that history, you or go a different path. And so I'm kind of curious, how did you process this? Like,
Yeah. Um, yeah. So all the things I'm bringing up are speculations. And also too, like he didn't leave a note. And it was so abrupt. Like everything seemed fine. And I looked back at all my texts and it was like, maybe one thing. He made a comment and I'm like, yeah, well, par for the course, or something like that. And um how did I get through it? So it's got to be my spirituality. You know, I think we mentioned earlier that a year prior to his death, I just became very interested in near-death experiences, and I would watch them on YouTube. And some of them were a little quirky, but the majority of them, like I think 90% of them are real. They all have the same story. None of the people know each other. And they all, say how their experiences over there was just nothing but pure love and forgiveness. And, they're greeted by people that they know up there and did not know in this life. Or it could have been a past grandfather or somebody that they did know in this life. So it's a combination of hearing their stories, number one, being introduced to a thought process of why we're here in this life, and how you're in heaven with God or your source or whatever you want to call them, and you're surrounded at a table with a whole bunch of people that are going to be your mom and your husband and your brother and your dog and whoever is in your life and the person who hurts you, and they all sign up to be in your life and you sign up to be in their life. It's a contract of sorts, and they're like, I will do this for you because you said that you want to learn XYZ. Well, of course, we don't remember what we came down here to learn. And that's kind of part of the journey. We're here to learn and to love through that. And I think that Gavin was sitting at my table and he's like, hey, I'll be your son to you know, help you learn whatever you're going to learn. And I have learned through his death so much. And, it sounds a little odd of me saying this, but it was like this thought process that I think now, I don't want to say it was like downloaded into me where it for real. It's almost like, oh, I remember that that's what it is. Like from when I was not in this earth body or in this world, I was just my soul. And so it's like it's and like 10 years ago, listening to myself, I would say, okay, well, that's cool that you think that, but I don't really know, or I think that it's this, but I was taught as a child in CCD, brought up as Catholic, or, whatever it is. But what got me through it is definitely the spirituality and those two thought processes. The thought process of what um, I know that we come down here to learn and to love. And then also the near-death experiences, hearing other people's experiences. And I cry when I listen to them, like the love that they experience and the happiness that they experience when they go to heaven. And all the people were like excited to see them. And everything is just so different and light and really special. So I just feel like Gavin is in a really great spot. I know that how he passed away is considered, not ethical to some people. But I also, I just have had so many signs that I feel like I am very okay with. I don't love what he chose to do. I would have rather had him as a human being down here by my side. So I can have a conversation with him and love him and have him make me laugh and me make him laugh. And I loved when like the three boys got together, my other two sons who are his brothers and him, and I just would watch them for hours as they all, kind of chatted and laughed and made fun of each other and talked about memories and made new memories. And I can't have that anymore. And it's something that I'll never have again. And it really, really sucks because he was just such a spectacular human being in so many different ways and loved by so many. Um, but what got me through it is that I can't even say, Laura Jean, that I am through it, honestly. I really can't. Like it has changed my life. Like I used to pop up out of bed, and make my bed. And I have to lay in bed like 2 hours like to get the oomph to get up and I don't have one bit of depression in me. Like I'm just not that type of person. I'm overall happy, and it's just it's a
It's grief.
toughie.
Yeah, it's grief.
Yeah.
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 Did you ever get to the point, um, they say that I forget how many stages of grief there is, and they don't all happen in like this order type of way. And I certainly don't know the experience of losing a child. I just know the experience of losing very close friends and someone that I had dated. But for grief, it can come up in waves. And so I'm curious if like you've met any of those stages and how that kind of looked for you. Like, have you met the bargaining stage almost of like, I don't even know if it's bargaining, I guess it's sort of the like why did it have to be my family? Why my child? Why? That some
Yeah.
people can ask, or in that spirituality kind of like instantly kick in and just allow you to hold that space?
No, I definitely went through some of them. I mean, if you can imagine, the day that we found Gavin was like through hours of trying to get a hold of him and through hours of calling friends and then going to his work and then going to his house and seeing that his car was there at his apartment. But then we couldn't get in because you need like a fob and then to get into the apartment complex and then you need a key to get in. So we had to get the police to come. I could have just went and got the maintenance people, but I wasn't even thinking like we're like so um the police were there and the maintenance people were there. And my other one son was there. I had brought my dog in because, it was a cold February day and I didn't want to leave her out. And I mean, there's all these people that I don't know except for my dog and my son. And we're like about to open it up and I'm trying to, he was sick with a flu and projectile vomiting that whole since
Mm.
Sunday. And we were there and found him on a Friday. So I thought he might have been sleeping or hydrated or something. I didn't think it was this. And when we found him, I mean, one of the stages is shock. So not only shock that like there's this body that like I love so much, like more than my life itself, and have gone on such a 24-year journey with this person in my life, in the whole entire of his life. And now it's just gone because he wanted it to be. And I'm like, wow, it's just insane. Like, I definitely, by the way that he had done it, I know that he was not joking around. It's not like, oh, there was two things that were signs of that there. And I think one of the ways was not working. So he recruited to a different way, and what ended his life. And
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah,
so
this.
shock is one of the stages. I'm just looking him up now. So the shock of it was like I said, the weeks that I would just lay in bed or on the couch and not do anything and tried to work and didn't do a great job of it. Um, but then there's the denial where it's like, I'm fine, I I'm getting back to where I am, and you kind of deny that because you don't see, I didn't see him every day. He lived in his apartment. He was 24 years old, and I lived in my house. So when you don't see the person, it's like you can kind of be like, oh, I'll see him down the road. I'll see him at Christmas. I'll see him at his birthday. I'll see him at dinner or whatever. Um, it's just denying it for sure. And then the anger part of it was insane. It was just like whatever we just brought up, like I had a lot of anger towards the other parent, a lot that I had to get past. And I think a lot of the way that I think with the contract around the table in heaven, I think he was at my table and I think that he loves me so much in heaven that he chose to come down and ruin my life basically. But he's doing that so that I'm able to learn what I need to learn, here, and I need to choose to love through it, because ultimately, like, I need to love that soul in heaven. So, I hope I explained that correctly. Um, but the anger piece of it was definitely just blaming whatever I possibly could to, even myself. Like some of like I could have done I could have seen something different, could have called him more often. We weren't the type to like call every day. And I had been away on a trip too, so like it was just, I was sending him pictures, but like to actually talk and like see where he is and what's going through his brain, was just not something that I did. It was, um,
And even then, he might not have opened up, like there's so many things of it. Excuse me.
yeah.
That,
And I'm
yeah,
used to
that comes
treading
with that.
lightly too. Like, yeah, I'm used to treading lightly if there is something, because keep in mind that parent alienation, like I am accustomed to act a certain way. I don't want to, like, if I take pictures or video something or ask too many questions, they might think that I am doing the thing that the other parent said. Oh, she's asking questions to get information to do something weird. Oh,
Mm,
she's going to take the
I
video, and
see.
you know what I mean? Like all these things that I was accused of doing that I never even thought to do. Like I had to tread lightly too. So I don't completely blame myself, because I was still in that mindset, I'll say, um, that I've been trained for so long to think. But I also, like it was over, that they're adults now. It's like I need to anyway. Um, the next couple steps are bargaining, depression, testing, and acceptance. And I think there's a bit, I don't, again, I said I wasn't a depressed type of person, but I think I might be in the depression stage. Because I really don't, I don't want to say I don't care about a lot of things, but any like emergency or that's in somebody else's emergency, or that somebody else said something about somebody else, or, these things that my friends come to me with, I'm like, I feel like saying, I don't care. Like, I really don't actually care. Like, can we talk about something positive? Can we talk about like an idea, a vacation, like something that's not stupid, is how I feel. It's what goes on in my head. And even to the point where, just putting effort into stuff. I know that I had said that, I started to take Reiki classes and got my Reiki level 1. Like that was something that was for me. And it was something that I've been thinking about for a long time. But I also like feel like I got it, and now you have to do stuff with it. And it's just taking me a lot longer to do things than it normally would, if that makes sense. I'm a high urgency, um, incredibly like have a lot of energy, and barely sleep. But it's just like, maybe I'll do it tomorrow, or maybe I'll
Yeah.
do it next week. Like Tuesday will be a good day, because, and I just, it's, so I think the depression stage, and I say depression because that's how I think of depression, where you procrastinate and you don't feel like it and you don't have a lot of care for stuff. Um, so I'll say that that's kind of where I am right now. And I, I'd like to believe that I live in reality where I'm like, okay, this is where we are. This is a bad day. I'm in a funk right now. Tomorrow is going to be a different day, and I'm not going to feel like this. And then when you do still feel like that, you're like, we got to change something here. It's not working. I'm like, and like to get up off the couch and like clean up dinner. I'm like, is my partner going to clean up? Like, he's been so good. And, just like the lackadaisical, could we call that depression? Is that fair?
Well, I think when your reality changes at any time, and especially, in this situation, and I want to go back to when you were talking about your friends coming over and, things that are going on in their life that are important to them.
That's
We're
the
kind
thing.
of
It's important to them.
It's important to
Yes.
them, but not so much you now, because your reality has changed and you don't look at things the same. You never will. It's you're growing through this, you're growing through all of it, and that takes time until you're comfortable once again in your own body, but you won't be that same person. You're not meant to be that same person. So, and as far as the grief, it will always be there. You'll just learn to live with it, and it comes and goes in waves. And I think my I feel like don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself the time that you need. You're very aware and you're very mindful. And if you know that, okay, this is taking a little bit longer than I'm comfortable with, you're going to know that. And then you'll know the next steps that you need to take. But there's days where your body may just say to you, hey, Andrea, can we just hug today? Can we just chill? Can we just be in the moment and not really worry about anything? And that's okay too, because that's a part of your healing. And no one's going to understand that. And sadly, sometimes our journeys in life, there's a requirement of solo time, but it's very important time. So don't let anybody tell you how long it should take and what you need to do. And when it gets to a point where you have people that care for you, and you'll reach out to us, and that we're here when you need that. So don't be so hard on yourself.
Thank you. I just want to mention that I just started an online class to become a grief coach, and you are exactly right. Like, I hope that I word it as beautifully as you just did. It's everything you just said is like what I'm learning, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you worded it so beautifully, and so thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
But it's exactly right too. Like, that's everything I just learned on this class that I'm taking to become a grief coach. And
Yeah.
I mean, everything. Like, there was 5 different points or 4 different points that you had just said. And because there's wrong things to say when somebody's grieving, and there's more correct things I'll say to say. And so
well, this
that
is
was
going to
awesome.
be your path to healing as well.
Yeah.
These online courses that you're taking, and then when you're involved with other people and their lives, and you are watching what they're going through, it's relatable because you've gone through it yourself, and you made a choice to take something that's extremely painful and create a positive out of it. And I think those are the best things that we can do when we're in a state of grief like this, is to take it and turn it around. And that's it gives you hope too in the future, but now you're also giving it to others. And while you're doing that, you're helping others heal. They're helping you heal. So there's a positive exchange of energy there.
Yeah, and I just want to take a moment on that too. Taking something that is incredibly negative and hurtful and painful, or even just in life, something that, car accident or something bad that happened, and turning it into positive. I think that is such a huge thing. And there's 2 components to that. One thing is actually doing it and thinking it and taking the time to learn and think about how it could be a positive, or that even something positive could come out of it. And then secondly, when you do that, a lot of times people judge you, like, especially if, like, it's less than a year and you're off popping around and, being happy, and people can't understand as they're looking at you, even though you cry every night and you wake up and stay in bed for 2 hours every morning. I'm actually working through it, like, every day. So to have this positivity, and then for other people to be like, I can't believe you, and this has actually happened to me, where I'm so happy, but you're hiding everything, and and this judgmental, like, craziness coming at me in the time of, like, the worst possible thing that I have ever gone through. Like, are you okay? Like, you might want to check yourself. So there's 2 things. Like, yes, it's so important to see the positivity in negative things. But also, when somebody judges you so harshly, don't let it get you. I mean, it will. There's no choice. I mean, you have to take 5 minutes to a day to get through whatever that person just said to you. But
And you'll grow through that too,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
And yeah. Oh, sorry, Steph, go ahead.
No, it's sadly sometimes our greatest lessons come from extreme painful moments. And that includes people in our life, you know, and I don't think they mean to, not intentionally, but it does hurt either way. But again, now it's a part of your healing journey. So
Yeah.
how are you going to work through that? And that becomes another part of who you're becoming, what you're growing into.
Yeah. And what I was going to say is like one of those big lessons is that you have the right to live. And living means you get to smile and find the joy in life
Yeah.
because that what people don't understand too is that we only know happiness because we've most likely felt anger or sadness or whatever. So when we feel even deeper pains, when you look out and you see the sunset has this whole new view and this whole new joy. And that moment becomes even more valuable and important. And people that possibly don't have the brain chemistry to see it that way won't be able to understand you. But
Yeah.
that's okay. That's where you have the right to step away and know
Mhm.
that this is your life and you're
Yeah. And
right
it's,
to it.
And that's your
yeah.
solo time. And
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one needs to understand that. They're not you. This is
Right.
your journey. So you do get to choose who you want to walk beside you through this.
Yeah. And it's important for me to not judge them back too,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
as hurtful
Right.
as it was. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to judge them back either because like you said, like they might not have the brain chemistry or they might not have that component to actually be able to
Mm-hmm.
believe or think, you know, in a certain way or manner.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Gavin recorded a lot of music. And and so we started a nonprofit called the Gavin Effect. And how it came about was rather interesting because, I was going through all of this and there was, I mean, so many people who reached out to me for him that loved him. My entire first floor had flowers everywhere. And we had so many meals given to us that like I could not believe it. My jaw dropped. I didn't have to cook forever. And we got Uber Eats gift cards and DoorDash gift cards and all of this stuff. And I was like, wow, if anybody, like, if Gavin would have known how much love, if he would have seen my first floor of my house filled with flowers where you couldn't even really like move or put anything down and all the meals that came in, like, if he would have seen that, like he would have known how much he was loved. And I just, that I kind of think of that too sometimes. I just, I wish that sometimes you just reach out and just love somebody because they don't know how much they're loved. And I didn't even know how much we were loved until that happened. So,
He
um,
saw.
yeah, I really think that he did. And so there's that, but he was a musician and he, had a producer and he would record at the Void in Philadelphia. So they're actually on the board of the Gavin Effect. And while I bring this up, why we named it the Gavin Effect is because of all of that love that happened. My designer, I have a construction business, and she actually went to somebody's house. She was late, and this is just one scenario, but she chose to reveal why she was late. She's like, "I'm so sorry. My best friend's child just, took their life." And I was helping her and blah blah blah. And it became this her client said, "Oh my gosh, that's so weird. I was just talking to my friend on the phone while you were on your way over, and her friend's child just took their life."
Mm.
And she says, "What's her name?" And they are both talking about me. I've
Mm.
never met this
Wow.
woman in my life. They are both talking about me. They're both affected by me and my son. And when they said, they found out that it was the same person, they're like, her name's Andrea. And that's the Gavin effect, where that lady was calling the client, her friend, to pray for me. And right before that, my designer was praying with me. And it was just a wild thought process that they were both doing this at the same time, almost. And then they meet, and it's the same gal that they're talking about. So that's the power of like paying it forward. The example there was paying it forward with prayer, but it could be anything. I grabbed a whole bunch of books. It's called The Four Agreements,
Mhm.
and the idea is to write your loved one that you lost's name in the book, and their birth date and their death date. Read the book, pass it on to somebody else who you think that might benefit from that book, and then they write their name in the book, and then they tell the story to the next person. Hey, this book is in loving memory and honor of this person. Two of us read it. I think that you might benefit from this or might really enjoy the book. That third person reads it. They write their name in it, and it keeps going on and on and on. You kind of pay it forward, I'll say, with the message. And The Four Agreements is such a great book. I recommend anybody read it because it's such a mindset of positivity for yourself, how to treat yourself, and how to treat other people. And so, at the end, you have this book with 10, 20 people's names in there who have read the book in the honor of the person that you lost, who, was your loved one. But then we turned it into music. And that was like the true positivity piece of it because it was Gavin's dream. He always said, I wish that I didn't have to have, money holding me back of recording because I could then go to the recording studio, get it right every time. He was such a perfectionist with his words and his music. And sometimes I would give him money, sometimes he'd have to save up. And it was something that we chose to have, the core of the music piece of it, where people can fill out an application and get some recording studio time for free through our grants system. So that is definitely the positive piece of it, and we're still working on that and having a lot of fun with it too. Everybody on the board knows Gavin and loved and adored him. So and we're changed by him as well. So uh that
Mm.
would have never ever happened. A lot of these things would have never happened if he didn't do what he did. And I would take it back in a second. I would give all of this up if I could have him back, but I can't. So
And all
well,
the lives that he's going to touch through this work,
yes, exactly.
and that may
Nailed
be
it.
a
Yeah.
part of his
Yeah.
journey.
Mhm.
Because when we leave here, it's we don't stop. We continue on. We just continue on in a different form.
That's
So
right.
he's
Yeah.
aware. But how amazing and how beautiful that because of your spiritual development through the years and recognizing things that maybe you didn't before,
Mhm.
prior to this happening, that you're able to understand that there's a lot more going on right now with his passing. Um, and there's so much more to come through the years and the amount of lives that will be touched. And you're getting to see this, you're witnessing it. And
Every day.
that's motivating you too. So yeah.
Yeah. It's tough to get to this point. It's really, really tough. But I'm so thankful and so proud of myself for getting this far with a lot of the aspects because it is the most detrimental thing that you can ever possibly go through. And you wake up every day and you don't believe it and you have to live through like, oh my gosh, it wasn't a bad dream for months. And then, you accept it. You're like, okay. what are we going to do about it? You know?
Well, I think
So
you're doing an outstanding job.
thank you. Most days, not every day.
One day at a time. That's
Yeah.
the best you can
That's
do. It's the
right.
best any of us can do because life
Mhm.
is unpredictable. It can
Yeah.
change in a second.
Yeah. And the sad part too is like this happened, but like I still have many more people I have to lose before I die and go
Mhm.
through that as well. And if you don't figure out how to deal with one death, how are you going to feel? How are you going to figure out to deal with all the other ones? So
Mhm.
Yeah.
I definitely make it a priority knowing that other ones are going to come, in the
Yeah, and I
future.
and I think anytime you have a major shift like this in your family dynamic, that it really does cause you to reflect and maybe think about things differently, that you weren't thinking about before, but now all of a sudden seems to be forefront and center.
Yes.
Like, pay attention
Yeah.
to me. This is what's going to happen, or this is, you can see that this is the beginning of this stage of your life now. So I was just thinking about that with the first holidays with my mom in a nursing home with dementia, and then it's her twin sister. But all my family is gone. That's what I have left, and that's on both sides. So that started me down a path of thinking, wow, I have two people, my mom and my aunt left, and me. And thank goodness I have four children because I have five beautiful grandchildren and one in heaven. So what more could I ask for? But I didn't think about these things
Yeah.
early on in
Mhm.
life,
You
but here
don't.
I am now at 64 years old, and sadly this is becoming my reality, whether I like it or not. It's a part of my journey. So I'm looking at things like I never have before. And I can't say that it makes me feel good, but it does make me appreciate the time that I have here. And even when things aren't so good, I still, keep in mind that life is short and I don't want to waste the time that I have left here. I don't know how much it is, but I sure as heck don't want to waste it on stupid things, um, or be around people that we're just not compatible. It's
Mhm.
not worth it. That's kind of a waste of time too. So I think when you
Yeah.
age, you become a little bit more picky on those choices that you're making.
That rightfully so. Yes, you do. And I think that's part of the learning journey too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as much as you want to treat people well, you also want to treat yourself and love yourself well as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A
Well,
lot
as
of
well.
wells there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
agree.
yeah, yeah.
So get that massage. Go take a
Yes.
spa day. Go away with your girlfriend for the weekend.
Mhm.
Find something fun to do. You need it. You have to. It helps balance it out a little bit.
Yes. That switch instantly. Because
Yeah,
I would be like, oh, that's a lot to travel. And now I'm like, no, do it.
do it.
Like that instantly switched with me
And it
through
helps you
this.
get through that day. And at least okay, I survived today. Tomorrow, I'm not so sure. We'll figure it out when we get there. But
Figure
at
it out.
least today,
Yes.
Yeah.
we made it through.
Do you
Yes.
feel like you're meeting kind of an Andrea that you always knew was kind of there, or you're kind of meeting uh, a newer version of Andrea? Like, how do you feel now about yourself?
Such a great question. I'm glad that you asked that because there's so many poignant uh, uh, I call them things that have happened to me in my life. One is having a child. I was a shyer gal. I wouldn't, cause too much trouble or whatever it was. And as soon as I had him and he was sick, it was like, I'm calling the doctor and I'm going to get in today. Like, do you know what I mean? Where I would never push that before. And so it's funny, like, yes. And that's who I really am. Like it is like I fight for my children. I protect them. Like that's who I at my core am. I didn't know that because I didn't have children. So I didn't have anybody really to protect or care back then when I was a very young adult. But now, yes, I am becoming incredibly who I am. And I think that's part of the journey too, like
Mm-hmm.
your
Yes.
lessons and love, but also to be completely who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And the environment and our experiences and childhood and everything kind of take that away from us in a sense. Not fully, but I mean maybe for some people.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say that the gal that I am today, I love her. We love her so much. And I'm really starting to like her, if that makes sense. Because there's some things that I do that I get mad at myself at, and I'm like, it's okay. You're all right. It's okay. Do better next time.
I love that.
So yes, yeah, yeah. Kind of look in the mirror, and I'm like, I chuckle. I'm like, you're still with me, girl.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
After
Mm-hmm.
all these years, and I can't believe all that we got through. I mean, we only touched on a couple of them here. I lost a brother as well, the same way, and I've lost a father, in a different way, and all my grandparents, and some friends along the way, and those all really hurt bad. But this one, to answer your question, hurt the worst, and to answer your question, has helped me develop into the new Andrea that I've come to love and adore. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I love that. Yeah. And we're excited to get to know her.
Yes.
Yay, me too. Yeah, there's a lot of new things that are coming out with me, and um, I'm excited for each one. Again, we're slowly but surely getting there because of, so I don't know
And
how
we'll
it's
have
going.
you back.
Yes, I would love to go back. I always love chatting with you gals. It's always a
Oh,
very smooth conversation, great questions, and I love your side of the things too, because I think we are like-minded in the spirituality and certain other things as well. So it's great company. Great company.
I
Yeah.
Yeah.
agree. Thank you.
In the end, community turns out, whether it's family by blood or it's the community that you choose, which tends to happen when we do lose people, especially as we get older, we start to get surrounded by the family that we choose. And it's more valuable than I think most people understand. And if they understand it, that's why we have a lot of mental illness, and especially in the US, is because so many people feel disconnected from each other.
Yeah.
So it's important. I'm grateful to have you here again, and I'm sure we're going to have you on again, and we'll be tuning into your podcast as well, and
Yeah.
we'll link that below, as well as the Gavin project. Anything that comes up with that, we'll be happy to share for you, and keep us posted on you and how everything's going. And
Yeah.
Indeed. Thank you,
perfect.
ladies.
You're very welcome and have
I
a
love the
wonderful
Sleeping Lotus.
holiday.
Yes, you too. Thank you. It's right around the corner.
Yes.
Yes. Probably after once people hear the episode. So we hope you all had a beautiful holiday with your family. And please like and subscribe if you haven't. And tune in to another episode of Sleep and Lotus coming soon. All right. Bye bye, everybody.